There's a saying that if Liverpool did not exist, it would have to be invented. And I think that captures the energy, creativity, and eternal pride and solidarity of this city. But in today's Britain, that energy is being held back. I don't need to tell you here in Liverpool about the Tories and managed decline. But sometimes it feels as if managed decline is the Tories' plan for the entire country. We have a government overwhelmed by the process of Brexit with no idea about the type of country they actually want to live in. On all the big questions, the economy, climate change, inequality, what our working lives will look like, this government has simply nothing to offer. Time and time again, they've ignored the concerns of businesses such as Jaguar Land Rover and Airbus, who know the looming catastrophe we face if we crash out without securing a good deal. We also know the Tories can't be trusted. We know that they'll use Brexit as a cover to roll back on our hard-won workers' rights. Eight years of Tory government has seen insecurity in the workplace become the norm, and many workers don't have access to basic employment rights. Laura Pidcock, our Shadow Minister for Labour Rights, Justin Madders, her maternity cover, and Bambos Chavalambos, my PPS, have forensically held this government to account. But they don't care. They don't care about the tragic stories of gig workers, sick, stressed and underpaid. They don't even care about staff in their own departments of justice and business campaigning today simply for basic protections and a living wage. We care. Workers under Labour will get full legal rights such as sick pay, holiday and parental leave and protection from dismissal from day one, even those working in the gig economy. But this precariousness extends beyond employment rights. Over 3 years, there have been 100,000 job losses in retail alone, one of our biggest employment sectors. Thriving high streets were once the centre of community, somewhere local people were proud of. But once flourishing businesses are now replaced by boarded-up shops, with almost 25,000 vacant retail and leisure premises across Great Britain. Household names such as Toys R Us and Maplin have disappeared, and big brands like New Look and M&S are closing stores across the country. The move to online retail and the changing nature of the way we shop doesn't need to mean empty high streets and job losses. It can mean vibrant community space with local independent shops, cafes and restaurants. But that will require governmental action to reinvigorate our high streets. Now, some of that action will be long-term changes, such as addressing the imbalance of tax treatment between traditional retailers and online sellers. And that's why my colleague Bill Esterson is convening a cross-departmental task force to look into these complex issues. And Roberta Blackman-Woods will also be leading a planning commission which will enable Labour to create policies that will revitalise our high streets, tackle climate change and environmental protection, as well as giving communities a stronger voice to shape their areas. Together, these working groups will develop a long-term strategy for our high streets. But some actions can be done immediately. Today, I am announcing Labour's emergency 5-point plan to save Britain's high streets. The next Labour government will ban ATM charges and stop post office and bank branch closures. And I want to thank one of our fantastic new MPs, Jed Killen, for championing this issue in Parliament through his private members' bill. We'll also provide free bus travel for under 25s, deliver free public Wi-Fi in town centres, establish a register of landlords of empty shops in each local authority. And finally, on one of the most pressing issues, business rates, we will introduce annual revaluations of rates, exempt new forms of plant and machinery from revaluations, ensure a fair appeal system, and fundamentally review the business rate system to bring it into the 21st century. You see, it's only Labour that has the energy, the ideas and the courage to challenge the big issues and shape the world as we would like to see it. We just don't accept that decline is inevitable, that productivity and wage stagnation is normal, that critical industries such as steel and manufacturing don't need support, or that it's acceptable somehow for public and private investment to be around 4% below the developed country average. My brilliant colleagues, Chi Onwurah and Jill Furness, have already championed necessary investment to support industry, from research and development through to infrastructure and skills. We've stated that under Labour, public procurement will support homegrown supply chains and support strategic industries. And whilst we'll bring as many public contracts back in-house as possible, we cannot reverse overnight the Tories' devastating cuts to the capacity of the civil service and local government. We must and we will rebuild our public services. And we must and we will set out a bold industrial strategy with missions to deal with the big societal issues of our time. Now, perhaps one of the biggest issues we face, which the market has proven uniquely incapable of addressing, is climate change. The debate is over. The superstorms of the last fortnight are further evidence that our climate is changing and that the consequences are severe. 10 years ago, a Labour government passed the Climate Change Act, world-leading legislation binding the government to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 80% before 2050. But 10 years later, the science is clear. We need to go further and faster to avoid dangerous climate change. Now, my colleagues Alan Whitehead and Barry Gardner magnificently show up the Tories' rhetoric. The truth is the Tories are way off track to meet our current targets. We acknowledge that the UK needs to do much more to meet the Paris Agreement goal of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees. So today, I state very firmly that a Labour government will back a target for net zero emissions by 2050. And you know, that's just the start, because targets aren't enough. We need a plan of action. And we've got one. We've been working with an expert team of energy professionals and engineers supported by leading academics. They've looked at Labour's mission to provide 60% of the UK's energy demand from renewable or low-carbon sources within 12 years. They've asked, can it be done? How can it be done? And with what consequences for our climate and economy? And yes, it can be done, offering profound economic opportunity to revive our productivity and reshape our economy. Now, this is just a little taster in the time that I've got. The report recommends a diverse energy mix. One part, harnessing the best offshore wind prospect in the world to deliver a 7-fold increase in offshore wind power. Now that's over 7,000 turbines, a massive 52 gigawatts, enough to power 12 million homes. They propose doubling onshore wind power and almost tripling solar power, and together that's enough to power over 7 million homes. And the report proposes making every single house in the UK a warm, dry, energy-efficient home, eliminating fuel poverty. Conference George Harrison once said, "It's being here now that's important. We can hope for the future, but we don't know if there is one." So this is not the time for piecemeal measures. We don't have to settle for whatever the market can deliver and sleepwalk into catastrophe, because we can unleash the energy of the wind and the waves and of our extraordinary people who've been criminally neglected through this country's long deindustrialisation. Because for Labour, this is about boosting the fundamental quality of life for millions of people. This is about reinvigorating our towns and communities so that they truly symbolise local pride and prosperity. This is about kick-starting an industrial revolution with workers and unions at its heart, one that is built in Britain and that can rebuild Britain. And by doing so, we can reclaim the future. Thank you, Conference.